and welcome to this second in a series of videos where we'll be looking at G Suite for Education and some of the tools and features of this software and the things you can do to help your teaching and learning. So in our first video we just did a basic introduction to what Google Drive actually was, and hopefully you've got access to Google Drive and you've maybe set a drive up and even put some documents and things in there. And I said in this second video that we would look at the idea of sharing, because sharing is one of the most important things, one of the most important features of Google Drive and Google Docs, etc. One of the things that kind of makes it such a powerful tool. So by sharing, what we're really talking about is this. If you imagine that you have the way that perhaps you're used to working, maybe you have a Word file, a normal document like a worksheet that you've created, and then when you save that on your computer, and you're the only person that can see it and the only person that can access it. If you want to share that with somebody, you email it to them, or you print a copy of it to them, or you give them it on a disk or something like that. With Google Docs and Google Drive, we're not looking at documents saved on a computer, we're looking at documents saved on the cloud, on the web. So it doesn't really work like that. In fact, it works, it's far better, because you can obviously share a document with one, two, three, as many people as you like, and you can share it in different ways. So it means you can work collaboratively, you can work on the same document with somebody else at the same time, you can do a whole range of things. Let's just have a look at an example. So here's a document I've made called My Document, and it's not particularly imaginative document. It just says hello world at the top there, and you can see that that's all there is on it, and at the top right there is a share button. Now the way that sharing works is going to depend on what kind of Google user you are. And what I mean by that is I'm using an account that's set up for me as part of my Google Apps for Education service here at my school, and so I've got some options that you may not have if you're doing this as an individual user. So if I click the share button now, you'll see what I mean. If I click share, what I'm now going to do is create the facility for other people to access this document. So the choices that I've actually got are a variety of different choices. So if I go from within the document, I can first of all switch sharing off. So that means now nobody can access this document, only me. It's a bit like just creating a document in Word and saving it on my computer. Nobody else can see it. If I want to, I can change it so other people can view the document. So if I've created a document and I want other people to be able to look at it, but I don't want them to be able to change it, then I can just change the link and people can view. What I can do as well is I can change it so that they can comment on this. So if you want to add, for instance, if a student is doing a piece of work and they can share that piece of work with you, and you might want to comment on it as part of your marking process. So now they can comment. And the third option is that they can edit. And edit means obviously somebody else can work on this same document, and in fact they can do it at the same time that you can. Now one of the things you might actually notice is that it says at the moment anyone at Finham Park Multi Academy Trust. Now if I click the more option, this is the menu probably that you're going to want to look at. We've got these options. I've got these options because, as I've said, we've got a managed Google Apps for Education account, which means that I can even specify sharing to people within my school. So here is anybody who can look for it. Anybody who works at my school can actually look for the document and find it. And here, the only people who can find it are people who work in my Academy Trust and who have a link. So for instance, if I send a link to somebody, if I email them the link or post the link somewhere, they can find it. Now it's really important that you set your document up correctly, or you're going to create some problems for yourself. So for instance, the top option is public on the web, which you're probably not going to want to use in most circumstances. On anyone with the link, that's useful if you want to share a document with somebody who doesn't have a Google account, because not everybody does. And if you're, for instance, sharing something, I don't know, with a parent or something like that, and it's appropriate to share that document, they may not have a Google account to look at it, so they just need the link. And then off is obviously sharing with very specific people. So what I can do as well is, if I can go, I'm going to change this one to on, and then in terms of access, what I can do is I can customize the access. So I've got on, can comment, can edit. So if I go can edit, obviously now people can share that. People can now work on that document at the same time as me. So what we'll do, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it. You'll see why I'm going to change it in a minute. I'm going to change it to anyone with the link can edit. Okay, and then I'm going to save that. And now the link sharing is updated. And what I can do at this point is I can put in the names of people specifically that I want to receive this link, and then if they've got like a Google account, or I can email it to them, they will receive this link and they'll know it's something that they can access. So for instance, if I put myself in, I can put, there's no point me, that's me there, so I could email, there you go, and it recognizes me because my account belongs to the Multi Academy Trust. So I could put other email addresses in as well. So what I'm actually going to do is put my another email address of mine in, so you can see what happens from the view of somebody accessing this from another Google account. So I'm going to send, I could put a note in there if I want to say, hi John, do you want to have a look at this document I'm sending you, or I could just send it like that. Now this is useful because it does warn me that I'm sending it to somebody that's not in the organisation, so somebody that's outside of the mat. Well, obviously I trust myself, so I'm going to click yes on this occasion, and now I've shared that document. And if I go back into here, what you can see is that I've got a little sharing icon next to that, which tells me it's a shared document. So what I could also do that with files from within the Drive view as well. So for instance, class lists, which I'm not going to share with anyone, is actually shared with my other Google account, my other work Google account. And let's have a look. My classroom folder, I can share an entire folder. So I can right click on the menu, share, and then again I get the sharing option up. And notice, by the way, you can get a shareable link. So if I click that, it copies a link, and I've now got a link on the clipboard that I can email to somebody to send them so they can access that folder. So I can make a whole folder public as well and share a whole folder, and obviously that means anything inside there and any files or folders within that are also going to be public or shared with the people as well. So just be aware of that when you're doing it. And so obviously another way I can do that is just from the menu that I've got here, this little shortcut menu. So my ICT mentoring folder, I could do share ICT mentoring, and I'll have a trainee to work with in the autumn. So for instance, I will share the folder with her later on so she can access the document that we've both got in there, but she won't be able to access the other things in my folder. Okay, so that's a little overview of sharing, and I think what we'll do, we'll just remember I shared that document with another email address. What I thought we'd do is just have a look and see what happens when somebody else accesses that document. So I'm going to pause and open up the same document in another Google account. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I've opened up my other Google account, and you'll see it is a different account. I don't have the Multi Academy Trust logo there. It's a slightly different avatar, so it's another Google account, and I've clicked within the shared with me icon there, so I can see what documents have been shared with me, and the My document that we just were working on a few minutes ago is there, and so I'm able to access it. So if I double click and open it, you can see gives me information about who last edited it 11 minutes ago, and that's important. Editors can now see your view history. We'll look at view history in a minute. And you can see at the top there's an avatar, and that tells you who else can see, or who else is that document shared with and has access in that document. So if I want to, I can make a change to this document. A very mundane sentence, but just something to do. So I've now made a little change to that document, and what I can do, and in fact what the originator of the document would be able to do, is that they would be able to go file, and then you can look and actually see what somebody else has added. So if I go see version history, you can see when the document was created and who edited it and who's done which version, and I can even review previous versions. Okay, so that's really useful if you're doing documents where you've got students working with shared documents. It's a really easy way of seeing who's done what. And you can also see there's a pink cursor there, and that's kind of tied to the fact, shows you which person did which edit. So that cursor there, if I hover over it, Mr. Bridgman did that edit, and that shows me that that's that person there. So really important and feature of Google, and of Google Docs, and is being able to share and collaborate on the same document. And obviously there's countless ways you can use that. I'm going to flip back to the other account now just to finish the video, and I'll see you in just a second. Okay, so we're back in my other Google account again. You can see, flip back to the other account, and there is my document, which is the document that the two people have been working on, and that's at the top of my recents list. And if I actually flip into the document here, you can see now what I've got. I've got now that an edit was made 3 minutes ago by me, which is the me in the other Google account, which is this one here. And again, I can see who made which edit, and if you'll recall, I made this edit from the other Google account. So that's a really useful feature. I can see who did what, and if I decide that I want to remove John from, and I don't want him to be able to add any more of his words of wisdom to my thing, then I can actually remove him if I want to. So we can actually change those settings if we want to. So what I can do, if I don't want him to be able to do it anymore, I can actually rescind his access, and now he isn't able to do it now, and then I can save the changes. So now he isn't able to save on that document, or able to edit that document. It's been taken out of that. One final little thing, just something that you might have spotted on the menu that we've just looked at. If I go back to here, if I go back to here, and there's an advanced menu, and I click the advanced menu, just something that you might find useful at times. You might want to prevent people who have edit rights from changing the access and adding new people. So this kind of makes sure that the document stays as your document. There's nothing worse as a teacher than sharing a document, for instance, with students, and then for either setting the wrong sharing settings or allowing kids to edit the wrong document by mistake, or edit your original document by mistake. So this prevents this kind of thing happening. And you can also, if you want to, prevent people from downloading it, printing it, and copying it, which means that even if people can't edit it, they might want to make a copy of it and edit the copy. So you can even prevent that if you want to. So now nobody's even able to make a copy of this document. All they're going to be able to do is look at it, and if I click Save Changes, that's now done, and nobody can do anything with that document now except me. So we've had a little look then at the sharing facilities of Google Drive. It's really important that you kind of practice sharing documents effectively. Perhaps if you're working on a scheme of work with a colleague, why not try both working on a Google Doc and giving each other access rights and then tracking the changes. Make sure if you're doing sharing with students in the classroom, whether that be with worksheets or you're getting them to share work with you, or you've created resources, that you ensure that they're aware of how they're sharing the work, and that you've added the appropriate sharing to the documents and folders that you've used. But hopefully you've seen that it's a really powerful and useful feature, and I hope you're able to put it to good use.